You have goals, and it's time you reached them faster. You have dreams, and it's time you make them a reality. Massive life transformation starts now. It's Tampa Bay's performance power couple, certified coach and performance specialist Dana Medlin and certified coach and behavior analyst Michael Medlin. Get ready to transform your actions. It's time for the Action Hour.
Welcome to the Action Hour. I'm Dana Medlin, and by my side, as always, is my husband, business partner, and co-host, Mr. Michael Medlin. Hi, Mr. Medlin.
Hey, my love. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm ready to start handing out some guidance, spreading that behavior love change.
Yes. So today we're doing things a little differently. As usual, like we did last week. But today, we're actually going to be opening up the phone lines. So let me go ahead and give out that number now in case I forget to do it once we get deep into our content. But 888-404-1010. That's the number to call. We're going to be opening up the phone lines. We would love to hear from you, discuss any issues that you're having, or, you just want to say hi and get some coaching advice. So 888-404-1010. All right. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about asking for help.
That's not going to be easy.
No, it's not going to be easy. And I'll tell you, for me, it's probably been one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn in my life. Mm-hmm. I mean, I am not the type of person that likes relying on anybody else for any reason. I come from a very long line of very proud, exceptionally strong women.
That you do. I mean, I'm totally crazy about your abuela.
Yes.
I mean, she's amazingly kind and sweet, but she can be rather direct, and she's a strong woman.
She's a strong woman. Yeah. She's a remarkable woman, but so was her mother, so was mine. But unfortunately, there's a societal stigma attached to getting help. Mm-hmm. And only recently has it been brought to light. And so it's kind of entering a process of self-correction. But for a lot of people, unfortunately, the damage is already done. Like, it's already ingrained and seeped its way into our subconscious, into our inner dialogue, and even our rational thoughts.
So why do you think that is?
Well, consider this. I mean, there are right now 80% of people who work full-time, they're suffering from some type of ailment. It's anxiety and depression, mm-hmm. or even something as simple as analysis paralysis. But there's a lack of fulfillment. There's suicidal thoughts. I mean, people with children, they're suffering from things like feelings of inadequacy. Am I doing this right? Am I going to mess up my child? Their fear of failure, delusions of grandeur, because we all think that our child is the best, but I think mine is he really is, though.
Of course.
Right, of course. But there's animosity, there's resentment, there's all kinds of things going on in the minds of parents and adults who work.
And what really amazes me is, how many parents, they actually train their kids to be helpless.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the parent training that I do. I mean, the main thing that we work on is, in behavior modification world, is we call it learned helplessness. And really what the concept is that parents don't allow their kids to struggle. They don't allow for, natural consequences or, in words, in real life outcomes.
Yeah.
And they do things for their kids instead of, teaching the child to learn themselves, or more importantly, to ask for help themselves. And it's okay to let your kids struggle. I mean, you wouldn't believe the number of parents I work with who have kids who, honestly, they don't even know how to clean the room or to use a fork and knife properly.
That would not work in our house.
No, I mean, they don't have good study habits, self-care, things like bathing, cleaning, doing clothes and such. And we teach them to be helpless, and it all starts with anticipating their needs instead of teaching them how to communicate.
And we see this all the time. Mm-hmm. Children who don't know how to communicate become adults with the same issue. I mean, how many business owners or management professionals do we know that suffer from a lack of work-life balance, little to no self-care? They have self-esteem issues, exhaustion, stress. Some of them even have substance abuse issues.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so self-inflicted because many business owners, they make their lives harder than it has to be because they forego, doing team building and training and for doing more, themselves and micromanaging.
Yeah, and I hate that's my dirty word is micromanaging. Yeah. But the thing is, currently only a small percentage are seeking help. And the ones that do seek help, we're hearing from them that when they really sat back and thought about it, it was the fear of change and the fear of judgment that kept them from reaching out for help in the first place. They said that remaining in their familiar state of misery was more comfortable. Mm-hmm. until it wasn't anymore.
And most, really high-end managers and owners, I mean, they're hired because they're great at what they do. And yet they don't really, reflect back and see that it was a teacher, a mentor, a coach, who taught them how to do what they do. And instead they could, find an expert to help them, like they did in the past.
Yeah, the ones that don't seek help, we see those a lot, and they're easily recognizable because these are the ones that are miserable, they're unhappy, they're stuck in a rut, they're suffering. I mean, they may be doing it silently, but they're destined to continue that same pattern of behavior that landed them in the current predicament. I mean, we all know at least one person like that, at least, So, Medlin, let's share some success stories. Can we share some success stories?
Stories is what we do.
Yes.
We do live quite the interesting life.
No, we really don't, but we're never short on stories. So one of my performance clients, he said that I could share his story if I felt that it would help other people, which I do believe it will, just so long as we don't use his name. Well, we never use names, so that's not an issue. But listen to this and see if this doesn't resonate with you or someone you know. So this gentleman, he found us on Facebook. He had seen one of our ads. And then during our very first conversation, I had identified a couple things. Number one, despite his continued declarations of confidence, he was sorely lacking.
That's pretty common.
It really is. I mean, he was insecure about his current circumstances and situation, and he felt, there was a shame or embarrassment about it. And it's really because he knew he was meant for more and couldn't understand why he hadn't accomplished all that he knew he was capable of. He wanted to travel, he wanted to write, he wanted to find true love. He just wanted to be more happy and find more satisfaction out of his life.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. So we've been working together now for, I think, almost 4 months. Mm-hmm. It'll be 4 months at the beginning of October. And he's already registered to go back to school and finish his law degree. He's got a dating profile up. So he's like actively girlfriend shopping, which is awesome. He's on fire right now. And he says that what he didn't understand was how locked he was into patterns of behavior that were holding him hostage. Mm-hmm. Listen to those words, holding him hostage. He says he now understands how crucial change is to growth.
And it's such an easy thing, for people to say. And we hear people ask, why should I hire someone if I already know what I'm doing wrong? Mm-hmm. And I like it, kind of having a diagnosis from a doctor and then a library card. Do you really want to spend, the next decade of your life reading everything about it so you can become an expert in the field of behavior modification?
It's quite the journey.
or you can hire a performance and behavior specialist who can get you to where you want to go quickly. You can spend the next few years, getting to that goal or learning how to fix your behavior,
right?
Where you want to spend your time. When you go to the doctor, you don't stop them once you know what's wrong. You don't go and then become an expert in the field. You get the plan to fix it, and then you go back to your life.
And the plan can be so simple for a lot of people, and we see it all the time. If you stop your growth process when you avoid change, it's in that moment that you start to become miserable. Mm-hmm. Change is what that particular client was the most afraid of, but change is exactly what he needed. What he was actually failing to admit, most of all to himself, is that he didn't know how or what changes needed to be made in order to have the type of impact he was looking for, and he wasn't going to go to, his friends and risk ridicule. He wasn't going to ask his family because he didn't want to be seen as less than self-sufficient, which I totally understand, right?
Yeah, but he made the big step of asking for help. And that's huge.
It is huge because it's not easy to ask for help. And that's what we're saying. We recognize that. But he hired a coach, and he said it was. Here's the thing. He said it wasn't a problem for him to open up to me because he hadn't known me long enough to care about my opinion of him. And I was a little taken aback by that, right, when he first said that. But, I've gotten to know him now. I understand and know his communication style. So it's all good. But just 4 months later, or almost 4 months later, he's made some of the most significant changes he's wanted to make in his life for years. And he says he's happier now than he's been in a really long time. And we're not even done yet.
And that's the best part about hiring a coach. Anonymity, neutrality. It's what makes our service so much easier for people to trust. Mm-hmm. So many things, like they like to say, it's nice to talk to someone who won't judge me and doesn't care what I say, and it keeps me from being embarrassed.
Right.
Which isn't really true, and we really do care. We both went into this profession because we deeply and passionately care about people. We want you to be the best parent. We want you to be in happy marriages and relationships. We definitely desperately want to revolutionize the way that managers and owners run their business.
Definitely.
We want to give the power of behavior and culture change to every employer and employee, because that's what this world really needs now, is happiness, understanding, growth, and balance. It's not that we don't care. We actually care enough to do this crazy job.
Oh, my goodness. When you said that, it's like, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. All right.
We're going to turn into a karaoke show now.
All right, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to share some more success stories and get into some of the most common and specific issues that we hear and advise people to get help with. Later, we've got former mayoral candidate, author, speaker, and community leader, Topher Morrison. And then we'll take some calls from listeners and respond to some particular messages during Behave Yourself. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Turn heads this summer with the help of Medi Weight Loss. Lose up to 20 pounds the first month with a medically supervised weight loss program that's tailored to meet your specific needs. Their team of trained medical professionals will guide you, ensuring that you lose the weight and keep it off. Get started today. Call 877-MED-LOSS and book your free assessment. That's 877-MED-LOSS. Locations Tampa, Brandon, and Lutz. On average, patients on individualized restricted calorie program lose 6.4 pounds the first week and 14 pounds the first month. Medical supervision required.
Welcome back to the Action Hour. Before the break, we were talking about getting help or asking for help and why it's so hard for a lot of people, myself included. But we started talking about some of our own success stories that we've seen in our practice. And now let's talk about some of the most common things we hear from our clients, or at least that we've heard within the last year, because these are the issues that we really encourage people to seek help in dealing with, because these can have a tremendous and dramatic impact on your life.
Absolutely. I mean, probably the number one that we get is, communication.
Yeah.
I mean, communication, relationships, it's the most common, and it's key to making an environment where other people feel comfortable to ask for help. And it doesn't really matter if you're, a boss employee, or whether it's a romantic relationship or, parent-child. The number one comment mentioned to us the most is, I don't feel heard, or I feel misunderstood.
Yeah.
And, this tends to be caused by two things. I mean, first being that the majority of people tend to be too busy to pay attention properly in this day and age. We're always looking at cell phones and stuff like that.
Guilty.
And I mean, simply giving eye contact, focusing on who is talking and actively listening can make a person speaking know that you actually care about what they're saying. And as a parent, father, an employer, I want those who are in my life to know that I value what they're saying.
I know you value me.
Oh, the other, before you get me too far off, the others, many people, they aren't very effective at communicating when the topic is directly related to them.
Right.
When you're personally invested, people talk at each other and not with. And we can go over issues that are less important, but we clam up when it comes to anything that we are personally invested in. And when it really matters, too often we're silent or unable to really stick to our own desires.
I'll tell you, when it comes to communication, we could all use some help. Like, who doesn't want to be a better or more effective communicator? So that's really good insight. One of the other big issues that we run into far too often is the issue of work-life balance or lack thereof. Here's a real-life example. So there's this client I'm working with. She's a mother of 3, and she prides herself on taking care of her family. I mean, she's handling her business at work. She works. She has kids. She's holding it all together. And God bless her, because single moms, hallowed be thy name, right? But she's falling apart at the seams because she's stretching herself too far, and she's not doing anything to take care of herself. So what she does, what she has a lot of is excuses. She doesn't have time, or she doesn't have money, or it's not, her taking care of herself is not important. And so it took about 3 sessions, and I finally had to just say to her, listen, what's going to happen if your lack of self-care lands you in the hospital? Because it's not a matter of if, it's when, right? How much harder is your life going to be then? What effect is that going to have on your children? Right? So absolutely. I was getting her to think. Then I said, consider what's going to happen if we take a look at your calendar, if we prioritize it so that above all else, you have at least 30 minutes for yourself every single day, and it's scheduled. what effect is that going to have? Okay, here's where you decide on a direction. And other than seeking help, I mean, this was really her first true action step towards balance in her life.
I mean, single mothers, they're always kind of overrun with their children. I mean, if your children is, not responding to your desires, they're unable to connect to you, or, they don't really communicate with you. I mean, how about kids who they're achieving, but they're not at the level that you believe they're capable of?
Right.
I mean, there's some that have, bad habits, not bathing, messy, disorganized, not very good social skills. We see that quite a bit, especially recently. They just need shaping up. I mean, do they lack critical thinking skills? Do they finish the task that you ask? I mean, all these items are changeable, and that's what I love about applied behavioral analysis.
Yay.
It's a powerful tool to analyze what supports a child behavior. We all have our why. And when we systematically make small little incremental changes, that will result in changing the behavior and increasing performance in the desired behaviors. Ultimately, helping your kid, develop the skills that they need to be successful and adjusted. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
I mean, we teach all of this in our course, 8 Weeks to Performance Parenting. And we call it that because that's what you want for your children, a high-performing child who succeeds at all aspects of their life.
Amen. So listen, I saw a meme a few weeks ago, and it had a lab rat holding a picket sign, and it said, "Save the world with behavioral analysis." And I physically, I see, that's what I see in my mind's eye. They're just picketing. Save the world with behavioral analysis.
I wish we were on camera right now watching you bounce around in your chair.
It's so true, though. I mean, this for me has been life-changing, learning this science, because it's miraculously effective. So think about someone who's considering a midlife career change, right? So I had a client come to me, and we would meet in a coffee shop, and this woman literally was in tears expressing to me how scary it's been to reinvent herself after 40. I can relate.
Oh, yeah.
But think about it. To take everything that you know, right? And imagine how long it took you to become an expert in your field. And then you're staring down the barrel of do it all over again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's daunting. It's mind-boggling. And it conjures the kind of fear that keeps a person from moving forward. And it causes them to be stuck in a pattern of boredom and unhappiness. And they have these Band-Aid temporary fixes like substance abuse.
Yeah. And honestly, that's why we do what we do. I mean, you walked away from a long corporate career in order to become, a performance coach. I walked away from the clinical, setting. We've actually been through this process, and on the opposite end of what you're talking about, like a career changer, we've also worked with people who are very successful in life. They perform at a really, really high level, but they've decided to move on to a passion project.
Yes. Those are fun.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes our work is just taking someone from one high to another high.
Yeah. And if it's all about finding purpose. You know what I mean? And that's easy to say, but it can be tricky because it includes so many different layers of introspection and discovery.
And it could be something really small. I mean, finding your purpose could be just doing something like, discovering a new hobby, which is great for self-care. Something to do with, spare time. It could mean someone wants to find a new profession, start a business, identify a charity to promote or volunteer at.
It's the truth. Yeah. Our clients say the pursuit of finding purpose has allowed them to think beyond their label or even their own self-perceptions of who they were. They say that the process has actually empowered them to be honest with themselves and confront things that they may not have been able to in the past. One even said that getting to know herself with a trusted advisor, it's such a safe and comfortable space that they don't mind facing what was uncomfortable because they knew they weren't alone and they knew they weren't going to be judged.
I mean, hiring a coach, consultant, advisor, whatever you want to call us, it's the one thing that you will not have within your own personal group.
Right.
And that's neutrality. I mean, no matter how good of a friend that you have, they're tainted by what they know about you. They're not going to fully tell you the truth. They're not going to, they're going to hold back because they don't want to hurt you. And now it's not like I'm going to go out of my way to be brutally honest, just to be able to hurt, be brutal.
But sometimes brutal honesty is necessary.
Yeah, I mean, there's a skilled way to get across changes that are needed, but we're not afraid to pose the questions to you or make statements that might take you back a bit.
Absolutely. And speaking of brutal honesty, let me just shift gears here for a second because I really want to talk about businesses and this thing now that's happening, which is culture transformation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's big in today's today's corporate environment. And I think it's because millennials have forced employers to kind of reinvent the workplace. So business owners now are having to revise the way that they manage, their ways of methods of retaining employees, their ways of motivating and maximizing their staff. And it's all about creating the right culture. I worked with a law firm that wanted to transform his company culture to one that's focused on customer service. Now, I don't want to disparage attorneys, noble profession, right? But customer service usually isn't high on their list of priorities.
True.
But his was. And he knew that the landscape that he was in was very competitive for his specialty. And so he needed to make the change that was going to position his firm as a leader. The problem is, and where we came in, is because he had no idea how to take old school attorneys and turn them into customer service professionals, right? He had no idea how to train or motivate his support staff to have better engagement with his clients. So he asked for help. And I know that wasn't easy for him to do now that I know him. It wasn't easy, but he ended up getting us. And now he's a success story with the Google and Facebook reviews to prove it. Holla!
I mean, many times we work, within the work environment, we really, question: are you using positive reinforcement, which we've gone over quite a bit, or are you using more kind of, the old school bullying techniques?
Right.
I mean, we measure everything. I mean,
Yes.
because what we do is based in science, and our clients love the fact that we just don't ask them at the end, how do you feel? Instead, we pull out a graph. We show change in whatever the targeted area was. For example, we had a client that wanted more work done by deadline. So what we do is we show you the percentage of on-time work before intervention, and then what was the percentage afterward. So we actually can physically prove through science that what we do works.
Yes.
And really, what we're measuring is things like, whether or not you're using reinforcement, properly. And then we look to discretionary effort.
And even though I love when we start throwing out our terminology, not everybody's going to know what discretionary effort is. Discretionary effort is the level of effort that a person could give,
right.
What they're capable of if they wanted to, but it's above and beyond just the minimum or what's expected.
Which very few employees, to be completely honest, do.
Exactly.
I mean, but when we criticize, when we punish or bully, we tend to get the minimal effort necessary to avoid the blows, escape and avoidance. And so being properly motivated and reinforced, that's the key. And what we want is to create an environment where asking for help is supported.
Yeah.
Where people give discretionary effort because they feel appreciated, they feel seen, and they feel like they're a part of a team.
And this ties right into the whole culture transformation
Yes.
that we're getting calls on now from business owners, because a high performance culture, it inspires people to perform and engage in discretionary effort.
And I love these consultations because so many they're almost annoyed by the topic of creating a high performance culture. They're used to that old coffee is for closers, or do it because I said so. And if you don't perform, you may be fired. So I'm here to tell you that this causes what we call turn and burn.
Yeah.
Where you invest very little in your employees, they work for a little while, performance drops off, and you end up replacing them. Which is a really expensive way to do business. Every dollar spent on work culture is saved in performance and low turnover. And where positive reinforcement elicits discretionary effort, which is where you get your maximum return on investment from your employees and your team members.
This right here is why I love behavioral science, because it teaches us that what we should be striving for as a team or as an organization is a culture of teamwork and success and collaboration. Employees are an investment, and the fact is retention is less costly than attrition. So our job as behavior and performance specialists is to teach people how to create high performance cultures where the entire team exhibits discretionary effort.
And we ask business owners and managers how they inspire their team, and not surprisingly, most don't know.
Yeah.
We ask you, what do you do to motivate your team?
Yeah, and overwhelmingly the response we get is bonuses or monetary incentives. Okay, well, what if someone isn't motivated by just monetary compensation? What then?
Yeah,
then we get the blank stare and the head tilt. All right. So we have to take another break because I hear our music. And we were just getting into some really good stuff. But here's the phone number to call in. 888-404-1010. 888-404-1010. And when we come back from the break, we've got community leader, speaker, author, former mayoral candidate, Mr. Topher Morrison. So it's going to be an amazing interview with my friend Topher. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Looking to
tone, tighten, or enhance your body while still retaining a natural appearance? Then look no further than Dr. Pedro Solar. Dr. Solar uses a customized approach to cosmetic and reconstructive procedures to the face, body, and breast. Call or go online now to receive $500 off any cosmetic surgery. 813-878-9889. That's 813-878-9889. Reclaim your confidence and discover a new you. Welcome back to the Action Hour. Our guest today literally wrote the book on public speaking. Like, yes, seriously, one of his 4 best-selling books is entitled The Book on Public Speaking.
No pressure now.
No pressure now, right? He is the founder of Topher Communications, a firm that specializes in brand messaging for small business owners. He is a recent mayoral candidate for the city of Tampa and just an all-around cool guy.
Well, you know, it's funny. I'm sitting here those last 2 times, and you're talking about asking for help and people that have issues, and I'm like, now I know why they've invited me.
Yeah.
This is an intervention, isn't it? It's an intervention.
Please welcome my friend, Topher Morrison.
Sorry. You didn't finish the intro there.
I didn't even finish the intro. Topher, welcome to the Action Hour.
Thank you. I am stoked to be here and be back on the radio with you. It was how many years ago?
It was at least 4 or 5.
Gosh,
it's been a while since the first show, and then the second one.
It was pre-Macie.
It was pre-Macie. Yeah, Macie's in the studio with us today.
Yes, my
being
dog's
all
here.
princessy and pristine and perfect.
We'll see how she goes. We'll see if she can do
anybody
the whole thing.
if anybody hears barking, you know why.
It was me.
That's just Dana.
So, Topher, first? Let me ask you. Can we talk about your mayoral run?
We can talk about anything you want to talk about. I'm an open book.
Okay, awesome. Because I really want to know what happened. Because
I lost.
Nothing. No, I know that. Right? I know, we know that part. But nothing against Jane Castor,
nope.
Current mayor of Tampa. She's a great lady. But I say this: you would have been the most transformative mayor that Tampa has ever seen. And I don't just say that because I've known you for years. Or no, I guess I am saying it because I've known you for years. But you have a very common sense approach. Mm-hmm. You have this win-win thing about you where you want it to be good for everybody. And that's sorely lacking in today's political environment.
It is. We're way too divided. Yeah.
So are you ever going to run again or for a different office? Or
Yes. I've been bit by public service. You know, I will tell you this, that running for office changes you as a human being. It really does. I swear. Like, I am a better human being now than I was back, which is obviously not that hard because I probably wasn't that great to begin with. But
no,
anyway,
don't say that. I think you're a pretty cool guy.
Thank you.
And your dog makes you even better.
It genuinely made me a better human. It gave me empathy where I did not have it. It opened my eyes to things in this city that I was not aware of. It gave me a whole new perspective on how mean people are.
Oh my God. Are you talking about that Facebook Live where someone threw something at you? That was terrible.
What was that?
I don't know. It was like, it was right after the election.
Oh no, that was when I got pepper sprayed in the face because
what was that about? I was so mad for you, Topher. I was like, who's messing with Topher? He's so sweet. Why would you do that?
Yeah. I was on my one wheel, which is kind of like a scooter, but cool. Because there's no handles. It's just you ride it like a surfboard. And I'm crossing a street. I have the right of way. This guy cuts me off. And normally, like, I'll put my hand up to let people know, hey, I'm here. And then they stop. This guy just kept on going. And I almost hit him. So, obviously he swore a little bit. And we start getting this verbal melee back and forth. And he starts following me down the road. And then I turn off to go up a one-way. He goes down the wrong way of a one-way and takes out this tactical grade mace and rolls down his window and just faces me with mace.
Oh my goodness. That's assault.
Yes, it's definitely I think it's battery.
It's battery, right.
Battery, not assault.
What did you press charges?
Well, no. I mean, I would if they knew who he was. I probably actually I take that back. I wouldn't, but I would want the guy to at least be informed of the law so he knows that when there's a walk sign, it's for pedestrians.
Speaking of Macie, I see her jumping up.
She's like, I was pissed that day. All I can say is I'm glad that my dog wasn't with me because I swear
she'd have bit him.
If he'd have maced my dog, I would be out on that corner of that road every day with an umbrella waiting for that guy to come back again just to nail him. But no, he got away, and the police have not been that ambitious to try. They got better things to do.
Yeah, and it's better to let go and forgive.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
So, Topher, where do you find your inspiration? And I ask this because you're all over the city of Tampa. You're doing amazing things. You're bringing light to issues that affect everyone in the community, which I applaud you for doing.
Do my best.
That's a big torch to carry. But
Yeah.
where do you find the inspiration to do these things?
That's a great question.
I know.
You know what? I don't know. See, now I need a couch. I need to sit back. My mom and dad raised me with this belief that you do not sit on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Right? And don't sit there and judge people if you don't willing to get in there and do it yourself. And I think that's kind of where my, but I think you also mature. I heard one of the best definitions of maturity several years ago, which I love. They said that maturity is measured based upon how much you can focus on people other than yourself.
Oh,
Think
I
about
like it.
an infant. It's all about them.
Right.
A toddler, it's all about them. They start getting older, they learn about sharing. Hi, Macie.
Hi, Macie.
Not mature right now. And as we get older, we have the ability to think about other people's needs
Right.
and wants and cares. And in my 20s, I was all about personal development, motivational speaking. In my 30s, thanks, May. Hi, Macie. Yeah, you're not getting any treats now. In my 30s, it was all about, 20s and 30s was personal development. 30s and 40s was business development. And now, I'm focusing more externally.
Yeah.
And now it's about city development. So that's where I guess that's where it comes from.
So
I
is
guess
your-
I'm growing up.
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
it's been such a pleasure to watch you grow up, Topher.
So was your run for mayor, was that, kind of an extension of that growing up? Or
Yeah, well, no, we're not political. I mean, it's so weird. This is why I think I'm really good for politics.
Okay.
I'm a Democrat. I'm a proud Democrat. Probably more closer to the libertarian than Democrat.
Yay,
but-
we're libertarians.
Yeah.
But I was raised by hardcore right-wing Republicans. My family, I just got back from a family vacation. I mean, literally, my brother has a Rush Limbaugh shrine in his man cave. No lie, complete with
Nice.
the Obama
Wow.
toilet paper and everything.
No,
right?
don't applaud that.
But I'll tell you, I love my family, and
Of
I
course.
think being raised in that environment, I was able to love and respect people, but still disagree with them.
So
Yeah.
Macie is objecting to you not paying attention to her. She
jealous.
is the beast you created because you spoil her.
I have a secret weapon.
Oh, look at you
Get
with
her a
that.
little-
She's going to
this
love
is a
that
little
treat.
whimsy. You don't deserve this, okay? Remember what they were talking about, Macie, in the first segment about people not raising their kids right, not
Yes.
giving them consequences? This is it. I'm a terrible parent right now.
You really
You're
are,
getting
because
rewarded for bad behavior. But
This
I
is
want
not
to
the right type of reinforcement. This is not behavior we want to
I know,
reinforce.
but Nan-
do you know that our
but it's
brain
gonna
is
keep her quiet.
exploding
It'll
as
keep her
behavior
quiet.
specialists?
Yeah.
All right. So
It's horrible.
I mean, I worked as a behavior analyst for years, and yet I have the worst behaved dog on earth. So, I mean, animals are just, they're
really different. Yeah.
Of course. That's what we'll say.
You got to
feel
give
good.
in to them. 'Cause, they're cute.
All right. So anyone who follows you on Facebook could probably answer this question, myself included. But let's talk
Macie?
about. Right.
Whatever the question is, I'm obsessed
Macie's
with my
probably
dog.
the
Yeah.
answer. But let's talk about specifically the good that you are doing for the community, like the good that you're putting out there. Like you had the tree thing going on. I think you just got inducted as a black person yesterday with some group. Like, let's talk about let's get into your resume right now because you're pretty incredible.
Something only a black person could say.
Of
by the
course,
way.
that's
Yes.
why I said it.
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't inducted. It's not like a Hall of Fame, by the way. I applied to volunteer for the city, and I'm on what they call EBOAC, which is the Equal Business Opportunity Advisory Committee.
Okay.
And I will tell you, the swearing in, they actually swear you in with your your ethnic thing. So it's, I'm swearing in. It goes, as a white male Caucasian for the Equal Business Opportunity Advisory Committee. I'm like, I have to repeat all that? I can't even remember it.
And I saw that in your, I guess it was a video or Facebook Live, and I'm like, he's getting sworn in as black. Like, what is this? What is going on?
I was going to ask you what the secret to that is. 'Cause, I mean, I've been married to a black woman now for 4 years, and
You don't have your black card?
not at all.
Got to work on that.
He's working on it. It is in progress.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the things I ran on in my campaign was the fact that our city does not grant government contracts to minority-owned businesses, not nearly like they should. I think it's. I was informed that it was 2% black-owned businesses. It was actually 6. I never cracks me up. I remember the Times came out with an article, and the headline was, "Topher claims only 2% of black-owned businesses get government contracts." He was wrong.
Oh my goodness!
Right? And I'm like, you know what? The titles, the headline should have said, he was misinformed, but the city is still wrong because they're bragging there. But we're at 6%. I'm like, that's still pretty disgusting.
It's pretty low. Yeah.
Well, I mean, depending on whose numbers you look at, the black population is between 15-17%. So
no, we're at 26%
in Florida.
Yeah,
wow.
in Tampa.
In Tampa.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're way below where they should be.
Way below. Yes. Anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm happy that I'm on that committee now, and so I can, even though I didn't win, I don't feel that I don't see why I can't still fulfill my campaign promise.
And that's the thing that I like about you from a personal standpoint, and why I think that you would have been a more effective politician, because even after the cameras stop rolling, even after there's nothing for you to gain in terms of being in office, you're still championing the causes that you were going after during your mayoral
I do my
run.
best. I do my best at the peril of my business.
Yeah. So, okay, we have a caller on the line. Her name is Courtney in Tampa. So, would you mind taking a call?
Sure.
Yeah,
Go for
let's
it.
take a call. All right. Courtney, are you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here. How are you?
I'm good. Courtney, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent. So, did you have a question for us or for Topher?
More for you guys, because I've been listening to you. I don't get to tune in every week, but I really like how you guys have approached behavior, therapy, and I just had a quick question about, my lifestyle and how sometimes it affects my relationships.
Okay. So, Courtney, do me a favor. So, I'm going to put you on I'm on a brief hold. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll dive into your issue. We'll talk more with Topher. We're having a lot of fun, and Macie's now quiet. So,
Shut her up with the biscuit.
And when we come back, I want to ask you about the practical joke you pulled on my wife. Because you mentioned that, and we're not going to get away from it. That's
we
a
have
little
to talk
too good to skip on. 'Cause I don't even know about it.
You don't know about it.
I don't know about it.
And you've watched that video. It's on our YouTube channel. Anyway,
We'll remind you.
We're going to talk about that and so much more when we come back right after this.
I think we can all admit that adulting can be hard, but don't let stress and personal difficulties keep you from living your best life. At Actions Transform, our behavior coaches can teach you to break unhealthy habits and give you the tools you need to achieve your personal and professional goals. You have everything to gain. Call Actions Transform today at 813-444-2282 or visit us at actionstransform.com. Remember, dreams inspire, but actions transform.
Welcome back to the Action Hour. It is time for our favorite segment, Behave Yourself. And we're taking a new approach. So we are opening our phone lines, 888-404-1010. So feel free to call in. We do have a caller on hold right now. So Courtney, hang in there. There was one other issue that I wanted to bring up with you, Topher, and that is my question about what good are you putting out into the world. One of the things that you did not mention is all of your philanthropic efforts, and I think that we cannot let you leave without highlighting that, because I think what you do is so incredible. Like you have an initiative right now that's helping several homeless citizens in our community. Your work with Dress for Success. So can you talk just a little bit about that? And then I promise I'll leave you alone.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't like to talk about the philanthropic stuff that much, but I don't mind highlighting great charities.
Yes,
that's for sure. But we did have a win this morning. One of my friends who happens to be homeless, right? He's not a homeless person, just a person who happens to be homeless.
Right.
He got a job, but it's an office job. So they even told him, they said straight up, you can't look like a homeless person. So he didn't have any dress shirts, slacks. And one of my neighbors donated a suit, 2 slacks, 3 dress shirts, a pair of shoes. They all fit him perfectly. So he got dressed up today. It was so fun watching him get into that gear. He's like, I've never worn clothes like this. I'm like,
and the pride he must have felt.
Came back at the end of the day because he's storing the clothes at my office, and then he'll just come in every morning and change, and then get back into the just relaxing street clothes or whatever. And he was just like, man, I felt good sitting in an office with a view of the city. And anyway, I had a lot of people call me up going, look, I've got clothes I want to donate. Where do I go? And I don't actually do any work with them, but I'm aware of them, which is an organization called Dress for Success.
Yes.
I had some women saying, listen, do you have any women that you're helping out? And it's just not as much of an issue with women being homeless. It is an issue, but it's not as bad as men. And I told her that you can go to Dress for Success, drop off any of your, especially women's clothing, is a great, they need them.
Yeah.
Because Dress for Success helps women getting back into the world and helps them get a job, interview them for counseling, and also dresses them and actually helps get them really nice outfits to help them feel great about themselves.
I love it.
So women, if you're listening and you've got clothes that you don't want anymore, go give them to Dress for Success. It's a
and
great
if you
charity.
just Google Dress for Success, it'll be the first thing that pops up. Love that organization and the work that they do. Topher, thank you so much.
Yeah.
For being here, for participating, for being awesome.
We did talk about the joke. We have to come back again.
You're going to have to come back again. I can't wait for that. Most definitely. We'll have you back on.
Cool.
All right. So we've got on the line, we've got Courtney, and Courtney has an issue relating to her personality, and she says how it affects her relationship. So Courtney, are you still there?
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for being patient, Courtney. So talk to us about your personality and how do you think your personality is affecting your relationship?
Okay. I noticed over the span of 5-6 years maybe that I have this real knack of really trying to live in the moment, right? But and I'm pretty good at it. I like to think, but over time I've realized that what I find the issue with is I end up losing certain aspects of relationships or not so much losing relationships altogether, but distancing after the fact. For example, having a long-term job that I was at for years, and then when I made a move, the people that I was so close with over time in those moments, feeling so bonded with them in those moments, over time after that move, the relationships just kind of distancing apart.
Yeah.
And just, one example of how, even in my personal relationships, I live in the moment. I'm passionate and I find joy in so many things in the moment. But then after all is said and done, sometimes I lose certain focus levels of things that I'm supposed to be.
So you have a difficulty kind of maintaining relationships.
Huh?
You run into issues of trying to maintain relationships long term.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say yes and no, because it has shown time and time again that friendships for sure are hard for me to maintain long term. I have a couple real close girlfriends that, have been there through thick and thin, but
so I'm guessing you're a wife. I'm guessing you're a wife and a mother.
Yeah,
because you sound busy.
You sound really, really
hear
busy.
the kids in the background.
Oh yeah, I told them try to be quiet during this, but
feed him a whimsy dog treat. That's
okay.
what works for my dog.
Yeah,
quiets her down right away.
I mean, what I would say is, are you scheduling in time for you? Are you scheduling in time for you to be able to continue to maintain those relationships? Moms are absolutely awful at giving themselves to everyone, and they can be very present, but they're giving to everyone that's near them at the time. And they end up, sacrificing themselves. They end up sacrificing their long-term relationships, and they end up kind of being isolated because they do not put their needs, ahead. It's one of the biggest problems that I run into when I counsel mothers. And so what I would say in your situation is set aside time for you. Set aside time for those relationships.
Schedule it.
Schedule it. I mean,
Yeah.
literally put it on a schedule, because otherwise you're going to allow your relationship with your husband, relationship with your kids, and the day-to-day, needs to just, take over. So making yourself a
for
priority
sure.
is never a bad thing. But I appreciate you calling. And
Thank you so much for calling in, Courtney, and feel free
course,
to
thank you.
Feel free to reach back out to us via email or Facebook. We'd love to continue the conversation with you. And for everyone else, that's on hold, we are so sorry that we didn't get to you today. But next week we will have the phone lines open the entire time, so we will take more calls. So please feel free to give us a call back next week at 5:00. And for more information on performance coaching and behavior modification, or for a complimentary consultation, visit us online at actionstransform.com or reach out to us at info@actionstransform.com. Special thanks to our sponsors, Macie Weight Loss and Dr. Pedro Solar, board-certified cosmetic and reconstructive surgeon. Please visit our nonprofit partner of the month, Autism Shifts, to learn what you can do to make a difference today. And if you'd like to feature your business on the Action Hour, email us at info@actionstransform.com. That's our show for today. Thank you to our guest, Topher Morrison, and thank you all for joining us. I'm Dana Medlin.
I'm Michael Medlin, reminding you that dreams inspire, but actions transform.